Service chiefs identify paucity of funds as major impediment to operations, ask for better funding. Senator Abba Moro emerges as new Senate minority leader. Nigeria, German businesses sign MOUs in gas and renewable energy sectors. And on the foreign scene, Guinea junta orders probe into ex-president Alpha Condé for treason. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I'm Aisha Salihu. Now, 1 week after lawmakers from the House of Representatives were left fuming over the refusal of the nation's service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police to appear before them, all military heads and the Inspector General of Police have finally appeared to brief lawmakers on plans to curb the rising security challenges in the country. The service chiefs identified several challenges that have impeded the success of operations and called for lawmakers' support to surmount them. The report.
Appearing before the lawmakers for the sectorial briefing which aims to give account of stewardship are the Chiefs of Defense, Army, Naval and Air Staff, as well as the Inspector General of Police. Taking turns to address the House on their activities and efforts to address security challenges, the Inspector General of Police identified paucity of funds, which he says has led to poor manpower, logistics, training of personnel, and poor welfare for personnel.
We have 1,537 police divisional headquarters across 774 local governments in Nigeria. But getting vehicles, operational vehicles, for the division is difficult.
He, however, said despite these challenges, the police have, under his leadership, within the last 5 months, recorded successes which needed to be sustained with the support of the lawmakers.
We have been doing our best to protect lives and properties across the country. We have been responding to the best of our ability. Unfortunately, no agency can perform beyond the limit of resources available to it.
While wheeling out the efforts of the military in curbing insecurity, the Chief of Defense Staff said the military has succeeded in capturing all areas previously held captive by terrorist groups. He expressed worry over the activities of one of the leaders of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Simon Ekpa, currently in Finland, saying this is causing harm to the military.
No territory in Nigeria is being held by the terrorists. That is very clear. No terrorists. We may have them moving here and there, but none that is under their command. The DDR, the disarmament program for the surrendered terrorists is what is being awaited. Processes are being done and it's continuing.
After being grilled by lawmakers over concerns, the session dissolved to an executive one.
Troops in charge of maintaining peace in Plateau State on Tuesday said the Special Military Task Force has, in the past week, neutralized 7 bandits and arrested 33 others in various operations across the state and parts of neighboring Kaduna State. The spokesman for the Military Task Force, Captain Oya James, disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday. James said the troops also rescued 15 kidnapped victims and foiled attacks in 3 vulnerable communities during the period. According to him, on the 13th of November, troops acting on a tip-off arrested one Suleiman Mohammed in possession of one AK-47 rifle and a mobile phone in the Bakin Kogi area, Zangon Kataf, local government area of Kaduna State. James also said troops on the 13th of November equally arrested 5 suspects in connection with a criminal attack on one Sati Pewa at his farm in Tileng Part village in Mongo local government area of Plateau State. He added that on 14th November, troops conducted a raid operation at Tileng Part village in Poshe district of Mongo local government area of Plateau State and arrested one Umurana Adamu in possession of an AK-47 rifle, 1 magazine and 9 rounds of 7.62mm special. Captain James also added that on the same day, troops acting on credible information arrested a suspected arms dealer named Rufai Abdullahi at Kamoro area in Zangon Kataf, local government area of Kaduna State. A combined team of the Benue Police and Vigilante groups has arrested 3 additional masterminds of the October lethal bank robbery at Otukpo in Benue State. The military and police in Otukpo had earlier arrested 4 suspects, bringing the number of suspects in their custody to 7. Recall that armed robbers numbering over 15 had attacked 4 financial institutions in Otukpo in October, during which over 15 persons, including 3 police personnel, were massacred. The suspects were apprehended on Tuesday by a joint security operation involving the Inspector General of Police Response Team in Katsina Ala area of Benue State. There was mild drama at the upper chamber of the National Assembly on Tuesday following the emergence of Abba Moro of the opposition People's Democratic Party, who was announced as the new minority leader by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. This followed the replacement of senators who had lost their seats to court cases at the end of the election season. Let's take a look at the report.
Abba Moro, who represents Benue South Senatorial District, replaced Simon Nwatkun, representing Plateau North, under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, who was sacked by court on October 23rd.
About 30 of them have also signed, nominating Senator Ositangu as the Senate Minority Whip. Therefore, it's my privilege to announce that they have a temporary replacement of Senator Ositangu as the Senate Minority Whip. Will it, so please. The senior Senator Ositangu, please take your seat as the Minority Whip.
An uproar, however, ensued in the upper chamber when Osita Ungu of the People's Democratic Party, Enugu West, was announced as Senate Minority Whip, replacing Darlington Nwokocha of the Labour Party. Okechukwu Eze from Enugu North, who rose to fall the nomination, was backed by Tony Nwoye of the Labour Party, who equally rose to challenge the sitting of the 3 of the minority leadership positions to the People's Democratic Party, leaving the Labour Party with no representation in the Senate leadership.
Are we your slaves? The way you elected was the way you were elected. Are we your slaves? How you can suspend me here? Are we your slaves? Every time you keep on picking leadership for us. We are not your slaves. Whether you like it or not, the way you elected was the way we elected. We are not your slaves.
After some senators pacified Nwoye, Akpabio explained that the 2 minority leaders had shown the signatories of senators who agreed with the decision.
You need to know that all you need to produce a leader is majority. If you are like 48 or 49 and 30 people have signed for one person, what is the magic that you say it should not be announced? If you are like 48 or 49 and 41 people have signed for Abba Moro, what is the reason why you say the Senate President should not announce? It's not everybody that will agree, but majority have agreed.
Meanwhile, the state has urged the federal government to immortalize the designer of the national flag, the late Pa Taiwo Akikumi, who passed on August 29, 2023. The lawmaker, after the motion moved by Sharafuddin Abiodun representing Oyo South, observed a minute silence, urging the government to conduct a state burial in his honor for his befitting role in the design of the national flag.
Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Moses Sule, and his deputy, Gwotan Pham, have resigned their positions from the House. Soon after their resignation, the member representing Pangshing North Constituency, Gabriel Dawang, who is a member of Young Progressives Congress, was elected as the new speaker, while Timothy Dantong, representing Riyam Constituency, was elected as new deputy speaker of Assembly. Ado Musa completes the report.
The Speaker and his deputy announced their resignations soon after Tuesday's sitting. The resignation of the former leaders came 2 days after the Court of Appeal sacked Governor Caleb Mutfwang and 3 other PDP lawmakers from the House. The situation came as a surprise to many residents of the state, considering that the appeal court is yet to determine their cases. Trust TV reports that the move may be connected to the current political atmosphere in the state, where all PDP members in the National Assembly and Governor Caleb Mutfwang were sacked, a development that many say could also affect all PDP members in the State Assembly. The former speaker explains why he resigned his position.
Because the leadership, it is not only about you. It's about the generality of the people, the entirety of the Plateau State. Sometimes as leaders, you have to make certain sacrifices so that things will work for the citizens of your people. For the people of your state. This resignation is born out of patriotism for Plateau to move forward. There's certain things that are happening, certain things that are going on. Some of us have to do certain things, take certain steps that will help us to get out of this quagmire.
How much were you called to resign?
Nobody coerced me. It's out of personal volition. Personal volition, just like I said earlier. Certain sacrifices have to be made by leaders. Positive sacrifices, not those that will bring down Plateau State. I did this so that Plateau State will move, improve, and there will be stability in the state. Thank you very much.
The newly elected Speaker of the House, after accepting his election, promised to carry all members of the House along, irrespective of their political affiliations.
At this critical moment, and I'm very happy, very glad, because as you know, I'm coming alone on the YPP in the Assembly, and for my colleagues from the majority cycles to deem it fit to elect me to lead the Assembly, that alone is a mandate that I will not joke with. That alone is a mandate that I will take it with all sincerity and all honesty. And I want to also remind you people to know that when we're elected, the day we take out, all of us, 24 of us, will automatically become honorable members of Plateau State. And at that moment, issue of political party is dead and buried. All we believe on is the interest of Plateau, because we stand to protect, to defend, and project policies and interests of the state. As such, I believe it is on that premise that give the foundation for my colleagues to elect me without minding the platform I'm coming from, because it's all about the inclusiveness.
7 APC lawmakers in the Assembly were absent when the new speaker emerged. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Benue State Chapter of the People's Democratic Party has vowed to use all legal options to recover the governorship of the state, which it says rightly belongs to the party. The appeal court sitting in Abuja on Monday dismissed the appeal by the governorship candidate of PDP, Titus Uba, and upheld the ruling of the tribunal that affirmed the election of Governor Hyacinth Alia of the All Progressives Congress as the winner of the March 18 election. In a statement on Tuesday, the spokesman of the party, Bemga Ayatim, claimed that the last election was won by the candidate of the PDP, whom he said would instruct his legal team to challenge the appeal court's ruling at the Supreme Court. According to the statement, the party's leadership will consult with the legal team on the best possible approach to the next step on the litigation process and urged its teaming members and supporters to maintain the faith that justice will surely be done to the petition by Titus Uba. Now, reactions have continued to trail Monday's ruling of the Court of Appeal upholding the decision of the tribunal, which had earlier dismissed the case instituted by Titus Uba and the PDP against the election victory of Hyacinth Alia and his deputy Sam Ode of the APC. Jimmy Azande reports that despite the appeal court judgment, the state is calm, while an official statement is being awaited from Titus Uba and the PDP. Let's take a look at Jimmy Azande's report.
Some of the residents who spoke to Trust TV said the verdict of the appeal is a reflection of the voices of majority of Benue voters.
To the judgment yesterday, I think the Benue people received judgment warmly. So we can't develop. We are all happy because that's the person that the Benue people massively voted in. So the court is just affirming the decision of the Benue people. I think, first of all, the governor should extend the hand of fellowship to his co-contestant. I mean, the person that took him to court, right by the Honorable Titus Uba. He should join him in developing the stage. And I'm calling on all the Benue people to join us in prayer to ensure that we keep behind the governor for the
We came out, voted massively for Alia,
And the gap we gave in the election was too much. Evidence is already on ground that they are winning. Anywhere they take earlier, you will still win them. And we people are very, very happy. Advice to the PDP candidate is that he should wait. There's still 2027. Let him come and contest again, whether the people will vote for him or not.
Other residents are calling on politicians to shun bickering and concentrate on governance now that the election season is over.
Judgment is a sound judgment. And for my view, I am advising the politicians that went to court because of the elections. The election has passed. Now it's government. They should kill them with the government that is on seat to bring development, to bring dividends of politics to us, so that we can know that this is how people do politics, not to be having grudges all the times. And in the coming election, I thought after this tenure, politicians should not engage youth in having violence everywhere because of elections. For the youth, I am advising them that they should not just engage in something they don't know. They should ask, and they should know it very well that they should engage themselves in it.
While an official statement from the PDP is awaited, the APC Secretariat in the state has issued a statement calling on the opposition to support the party to bring development to Benue State. Jimmy Azande, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
Away from the politics in Benue State. Now, Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has pledged to remain focused in his bid to execute development projects in the state, despite the appeal court judgment which declared the March 18 election inconclusive. Lawal stated this when he addressed a group of party faithful in Gusau shortly after his return from Abuja. He called on supporters to remain calm and law-abiding, saying the People's Democratic Party would emerge victorious even if the rerun was to cover the entire state. Recall that the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja had declared the governorship election held in Zamfara on March 18 inconclusive. The three-member panel, led by Justice Oyebisi Folayemi and supported by Justice Cordelia Ifeoma Jumbo-Ofo and Justice Sibyl Mwaka Gbagi, nullified the return of Lawal as the winner of the governorship poll. The court ordered a fresh election in 3 local government areas where elections had not been held previously or results from various polling units were not counted. Now, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has faulted the verdicts of Nigerian judges on electoral disputes, saying 3 to 5 judges should not overturn decisions made by millions of voters during an election. Obasanjo described the powers vested in the hands of a few judges as totally unacceptable. The former president spoke in the wake of the ongoing judgments of the Court of Appeal on electoral disputes arising from 2023 elections in Nigeria. Only last week, 3 governors were sacked in separate judgments delivered by the judges of the Court of Appeal. The affected governors are Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, Abba Kabir Yusuf in Kano State, and Caleb Mutfwang of Plateau State. The decisions have triggered reactions, earning the judiciary more knocks than kudos. Speaking at the high-level consultation on rethinking Western liberal democracy in Africa held at Green Resort Legacy, Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta, Ogun State, Obasanjo faulted what he labeled cathedral pronouncements by the judges.
Adam has talked about credibility of elections, and a few people have also talked about that, and we know. But I think I brought it out in my own introductory note. One of the things that I believe, whatever form of democracy we have, or whatever system of government we have, 3 or 4 men in the judiciary should not be able to overturn the decisions of millions that have been taken. Now we have to find a way out of that. I don't know what the way will be, but for me, I believe it's utterly unacceptable.
Now, still in politics, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the February 25 election, Peter Obi, says Nigeria's governance deficit requires collaborative effort amongst the political class to salvage the nation from precarious socio-economic and political doldrums. Obi spoke on the sidelines of the preparations for the centenary celebration of political party evolution in the country by the Inter-Party Advisory Council. He said the nation's political compass was heading in the wrong direction, a situation he stressed must be addressed. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman has details of this report.
Nigeria is projected to witness rising hunger and starvation. These are the current economic realities in the country. The Labour Party presidential candidate says the excruciating high cost of living is worrisome despite the country's potentials to do better.
In a situation where you have a looming crisis and we're playing about it, we've been warned of we're going to face hunger next year, we're using almost 100% of our revenue to service debts, and nobody can say how we pay the debts, what we use it for. In a place where, instead of putting our money, we've now been told we are bankrupt. Instead of now behaving like people who are bankrupt, we are still behaving like people who are still affluent. Because bankrupt people should be now be downsizing all expenditures that is not critical for development.
Obi is calling on the political elite to unite irrespective of party affiliation. The Labour Party presidential candidate believes the ruling party is taking Nigerians for a ride. On one hand, he points out that the administration is raising bankruptcy alarms, but on the other hand, it is engaging in what he calls an extravagant leadership style.
For example, if you look at democracy in America, where we even copied this presidential system of government, there's so many things that we've abandoned. If you are president of America, you can't just, I've never heard in America that they bought vehicles for legislators. You can't just buy cars anyhow. I have never heard you can't buy cars for first lady anyhow. Yes, in fact in America there's no office called Office of First Lady. It exists in name, and for the purpose of accompanying the president to trips, not just to have an office created with enormous budgets that are even beyond critical areas of development.
Peter Obi, while subscribing to the position of former President Olusegun Obasanjo on the workability of democratic rule in the country, tasked the leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council to rise up against anti-democratic tendencies as part of its core mandate. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come on the news. We'll take a look at replenishing the ecosystem one tree at a time as global warming continues. Details of this story and more to come.
Why did you develop this reputation as somebody who is difficult to work with?
I will tell the truth. No matter whose ox is God, I will say exactly how it is.
This is where I actually sympathize with commissioners of nowadays, where a commissioner sometimes is just a picture. You find somebody, even a cleaner and the governor's wife, can interfere with their abilities.
Even the ministers, there are very many who respected me, simply because I never complained about them. I never went to ask for a favor. Never.
So none of that has happened?
Nothing.
But if it hasn't happened, do you have hope that now another government coming in?
There's no hope.
So you've given up
I've given
politics?
I've given up. It's gone, it's gone.
Retrenchment from work is the most hated thing by unions. It's a loss of job, means that is loss of life, in fact, for civil servants at that time.
Nigeria's economy, Nigeria's security, Nigeria's intelligence. This is what the materials we were handling. And I thought government will be very interested.
The reasons why you adopted federalism is not because of finesse, not because you like it. It's because of its functional utility.
That's right. You could see
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying. If you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust Television. Now, let's take a look at a recap of some of our major stories. We told you that service chiefs identify paucity of funds as major impediment to operations, ask for better funding. Senator Abba Moro emerges as new Senate Minority Leader. And now moving on to more news stories. And now to health matters. Stakeholders in the nation's health sector have called for a reduction in the misuse and overuse of antibiotics in humans and animals as concerns over the increased spread of antimicrobial resistance increases. At the annual commemoration of the World Antibacterial Antimicrobial Awareness Week, stakeholders are advocating for improved understanding of AMR as concerns about its negative effect on the environment increases.
Factors such as self-medication, low level of health awareness, lack of access to clean water, sanitation and hygiene, poor infection prevention and control practices, and poor waste disposal practice are believed to largely contribute to antimicrobial resistance.
Our citizens should not just walk into a chemist or pharmacy and just make demand for antibiotics, because if you come to us and you ask for any antibiotics, we'll sell for you. They are OTC drugs, but you should tell us what is wrong with you, and then we'll prescribe the right dose and the right antibiotic for that particular illness.
The discharge of antibiotics and other antimicrobial compounds, such as disinfectants and heavy metals, into the environment has the potential to drive the evolution of resistant bacteria. These compounds are present in water, soil, pharmaceutical industrial effluent, and hospital waste.
On the One Health multi-sectoral approach, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, in collaboration with ministries, departments and agencies across agriculture, environment, water resources, health and other partners, are concerned about the rise and spread of AMR.
Almost 64,500 deaths, they are attributable, and 263,400 deaths which are associated with AMR. The GDP loss attributable to AMR in developing countries, including Nigeria, has been forecasted to be 5 to 7% by 2050.
Components of the 5-year National Action Plan 2.0 and expansion of national surveillance are among solutions to curb the AMR spread.
Without having a full representative data, we are still challenged in terms of advocacy efforts to get the necessary action for policy actions, and even to attract the resources that are required to tackle this really big problem. Strengthening private sector involvement in AMR activities, integrating multi-sectoral AMR surveillance and response activities.
We've been able to bring to the fore the issue of the AWARE classification, which is the Access, Watch and Reserve groups for antibiotics. And we believe that this effort, which the Federal Ministry of Health has championed, is one of the ways that when the classifications are incorporated into the essentials medicine lists at the national level, that we can be sure that prescriptions do not target antibiotics that can easily go bad or that we need in the most critical patients who are in the intensive care units.
To effectively curb the menace, experts want all sectors to join forces and encourage the prudent use of antimicrobials and preventive measures.
Now, away from health matters, Borno State Governor Babagana Umara Zulum on Monday ferried over 20 kilometers on Baga side of the Lake Chad Basin. Zulum was in Baga to assess portions of the Lake Chad towards his government's plan to enhance agricultural activities along the shores of the basin and to also increase avenues for transborder trade between people living on the Nigerian side and those from Chad and Niger. The Lake Chad Basin is the largest endorheic basin in Africa. It spans 4 nations including Nigeria, Niger, Chad and Cameroon. The governor noted during his assessment that with agricultural activities picking up along the Lake Chad shores, the returning communities hitherto dependent on government support and humanitarian aid would have sources of livelihood. Tanker drivers have called on the federal government to focus on total rehabilitation of its major highways to ensure ease in the movement of goods across the country. Veteran tanker drivers Ayode Moses and Suleiman Adediro made the call while speaking to Trust TV at the Lagos-Ibadan toll gate.
While lamenting the spate of bad roads in the country, they noted that such roads not only slow the movement of goods and inflammable products, but also cause auto crashes across the nation.
We are facing too much challenges because the road is not good at all. It's not good at all. Even though there's some of accident is happen, so the bad road is causing it.
The road is very bad. From Oyo State here to Jeba, it's not good. From Jeba to Bida, it's not fair.
A Kano-based tanker driver and member of the Federal Inland Authority, Suleiman Abdurrahman, said the roads from Oyo, Ilorin to Kano prolong their journeys due to their bad nature and call for measures to be put in place to guarantee the safety of lives and properties on the highway.
Well, we are facing a lot of challenges. Both tanker drivers, both truck drivers, in fact, they are facing a lot of challenges on this road, especially from Ibadan to Ilorin to Jeba, going to the northern side. We are facing a lot of challenges because the whole road has been dilapidated.
We beg government to do the road for us. When the road is good, so they will carry food, come to our place where we will go and buy.
It's plenty. So there are many areas that government help the people. So because when they are trying to do the road, so it's very easy for the tanker move here and there. There's no more accident. So it will help the people and save the life of the people safe.
A national trustee of the Petroleum Tanker Drivers Branch of the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, Salmon Oladiti, warned that many fuel distributing companies could go out of business due to the worsening state of Nigerian roads, which, if left unattended to, could widen the unemployment gap. Oladiti raised alarm over the inability of tanker drivers to deliver products across the country, a situation which, according to him, has further worsened the scarcity of petroleum products with adverse effect on the lives of many Nigerians.
If you pass through Benin Wari or Benin Ukini Lokoja, that area worst, not worse, worst. Olombo, between Wari and Benin, our tanker spent a week.
He urged the federal government to immediately put in place a viable framework to address Nigeria's road infrastructure deficit.
Estate developers and residents of the nation's capital, Abuja, have expressed displeasure with the rising cost allocated for the issuance of certificate of occupancy in the Federal Capital Territory. They made their displeasure known at an interactive session with FCT Minister Nyesom Wike in Abuja. Habibat Ajayi has more.
Barely 2 weeks after the FCT minister inaugurated task force on the issuance of certificates of occupancy for mass housing development and recovery of land use conservation fees in the FCT, a sum of 5 million naira was pegged for issuing of C of O within a 1-month period. To this end, residents and estate developers have appealed for a reduction in price. On the other hand, an extension of the 1-month ultimatum.
We are trying to know that this has mentioned that infrastructure will be extended to us. Because the way it is now, we do our road ourselves, we do our water, we do our land. Yes. Having said that, for the look of things, I guess we cannot get anywhere with the minister on this issue of 5 million.
There are individuals that have purchased property into these estates. Some of these developers will sell property after acquiring from government, so individuals buy into their properties. We find it very difficult, Your Honourable Minister, and I'm very sure your committee will be telling you this. Very difficult to, even when they want to collect money, and even government agencies have done that to us. We'll be bringing this issue to your table if you only tell us about it, because it's serious. Government agency will use the name of federal government of Nigeria and make an advertisement to the general public. And some of us will go into this process of this property because of the name of the federal government that they carry in this advert. And we buy into such property.
Responding to their demands, the minister promised to extend the ultimatum to 3 months and also unveil plans to restructure the FCT.
If you're under rent, we can't give you a CFO. Rather, we collect CFO from the man who owns the property. So that you differentiate. On rent, we cannot issue the owner of the property. But on purchase, you are the owner of the property. So many people have entered the wrong hands. I have told you this year before. So many people are victims. So many people wanted to go and do this on our behalf. I told you we refused. I have spoken to you. I have thought I have done the right thing to meet you. You have spoken to me. I've added one. You have spoken to me. I've made amendments here. I can't make amendments in every phase.
He urged residents to ensure that they operate in tandem with the Federal Capital Territory's master plan to enable them enjoy all the city has to offer to the fullest. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to environmental safety matters, 1 year after the introduction of climate change study into the curriculum of junior secondary school by the United Nations Children's Fund, nature enthusiasts have engaged in massive tree planting and other environmental protection strategy in Bauchi and Gombe states. Adamu Imam files in the report.
As part of this year's World Children's Day celebration globally with focus on how climate change affects children, the United Nations agency took some selected schools in northern part of Bauchi state. Teachers said that climate change study have reawakened their students in addressing climate change within their schools and communities, while nurturing economic trees already planted in a garden with the support from UNICEF. Some students say water supply is their major challenge within the school environment, while other students in Gombe State were supported during the tree plantation within their school communities.
This is the reason why the school established this garden, because we want to show this student what are the climate change that we are facing in our various community. We come to this garden to show them how to eradicate it.
They always teach us how to mitigate the effects of climate change by planting and nursing trees. Presently, I have planted moringa, an economic tree inside and outside our home. It freshens the air within our environment.
We usually partake in class tests on what we have learned about soil erosion and desertification. The reason for planting these trees is to prevent the dangers associated with environmental degradation. Stakeholders also say teaching students about climate change at the junior level will avert imminent dangers in the future. Highlights of the children's celebration was the presentation of gifts to winners of inter-school science quiz competition on climate change subjects. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. The news continues after the break. Do stay.
We started manufacturing leather since 1958. But the most important thing is that if the system is checked correctly, we won't have where we are now.
If somebody has depression, they may just be very irritable and unproductive in the office. So you find on average already about 1 in 4, 1 in 5 Nigerians already have mental illness, a mental health condition that needs some form of attention.
No matter how good an economy is, if the federal government goes bust, believe me, everything in the economy is just a matter of time it will go bust. So first of all, about maybe slightly above, below 70% is in federal government securities.
If government has banned importation of fertilizer and states are doing it at the level of governance, but I believe that production and distribution of fertilizer should be left to the private sector.
This is the general multi-purpose card and it has a chip here. So this chip is about 80 kilobytes. The one that you get from the bank for ATM is just 4 kilobytes. So this is like 20 times.
Hello and welcome to Creative Lounge on Trust TV. My name is Ahmed Mohammed Bello and I'm going to be taking you through my journey as an artist.
Welcome back and thanks for staying. And now in business, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has announced the revocation of mineral titles of 1,633 holders, with a stern warning to the former title holders to vacate the relevant cadaster immediately. According to him, security agencies, in collaboration with the Mines Inspectorate of the Ministry, have been authorized to apprehend defaulters found in the areas where titles have been revoked. Speaking at a media briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, Alake explained that the mineral titles were revoked due to the holders' failure to pay the prescribed annual service fees on time. He said despite a 30-day written default notice from the Mining Cadaster Office, the holders were found in violation and non-compliance with their statutory obligations to the government. Now, the National Bureau of Statistics says it has started gathering data for the production of National Strategy for the Development of Statistics Phase 3 for 2024 to 2028. Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniran, said the data drive would be inclusive, forward-thinking and relevant to the needs of all states in the Federation. Speaking on Tuesday at the Southern Stakeholders Engagement Workshop in Uyo, Adeniran said unlike the previous ones, the process of developing the new document would involve stakeholders' consultations and inclusions, adding that vulnerable and physically challenged persons would be captured. He explained that the new statistics would guide government and policy formulation, resource allocation, and progress evaluation. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has assured German businesses that Nigeria's political landscape is stable and, by extension, foreign investments into the country are secure. He spoke in Berlin on Monday at the 10th German-Nigerian Business Forum, where he witnessed the signing of two important agreements between Nigerian and German businesses. Kehinde Amodu reports.
The economic partnership between Nigeria and Germany has received a boost and further expansion with the signing of 2 memoranda of understanding for the supply of gas from Nigeria to Germany and for $500 million worth of renewable energy projects in the country.
This is about a project to supply LNG from Nigeria to Germany. It's about 850,000 tons per annum, expanding to 1.2 million tons per annum. Where the first gas is going to be 2026 by the grace of God, and then we expand thereon. And that's going to extinguish about 50 million cubic feet per day of flares in Nigeria.
We're talking about 1.7%, nearly 2% of the German market, so it's not a tiny deal, it's a big deal. And it's going to be between 2 smaller companies, but they're going to do big deals and grow.
And we are signing an MOU for $500 million to do e-energy projects in Nigeria, mostly solar and off-grid. This is basically one of the biggest initiatives that we believe will bring rural inclusion and capture people into the formal economy.
This is for the people, it's for our planet, that's what we're here for. So the company I'm working from doesn't really matter. What matters is that our experience is positive and we would like to expand.
President Bola Tinubu is urging German businesses to look beyond obstacles experienced in the past, pointing out that he is ready to implement reforms and protect their investment.
The relationship that we seek is for all to remove all hurdles to progress, to put Nigerian-German relationship on the first-class seat of development and prosperity.
Ultimately, our vision for boosting FDI investment, amongst other factors, relies on taking strong economic decisions, which His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has demonstrated through the review of the foreign exchange policy and the removal of the petroleum subsidy, starting from his first day in office.
The investment drive of President Tinubu is predicated on the success of Lagos State, which is today the 5th largest economy in Africa. He is urging investors that this track record will be replicated in Nigeria as a whole, and that he has built one of the most reliable teams the country has ever seen to address obstacles which may arise from doing business in Nigeria. Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News.
Away from Nigeria, Guinea's junta has ordered a probe into toppled President Alpha Condé, the country's first democratically elected leader. Then, following ongoing investigations into alleged killings, torture, kidnapping and rape, Condé, who was ousted in a September 2021 coup after more than a decade in power, has been living in exile in Turkey. He is already being investigated for alleged corruption, assassination, torture, kidnapping and rape. The latter alleged that Condé had acquired weapons and ammunition without providing details. His decision to run for a 3rd term triggered strong protests, which were violently repressed after the 2021 coup. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya seized power and has promised to hand the reins of government to elected civilians by January 2026. The junta has launched a slew of prosecutions against people close to Condé. "37 youth were killed in a stampede overnight during an army recruitment drive at the Michel Deneneau Stadium, Brazzaville, the capital of the Republic of Congo, officials said on Tuesday. Last week, the army in the Central African nation, also known as Congo-Brazzaville, announced it was recruiting 1,500 people aged between 18 and 25. Prime Minister Anatole Paulinet Makosso confirmed that 37 people had been killed in the tragedy, with an unspecified number of others injured. Would-be recruits had been directed to go to the heart of Brazzaville. According to local residents, many people were still in the stadium on Monday night when the stampede began. Some people had tried to force their way through gates, with many being trampled in the scramble, residents said. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa on Tuesday accused Israel of war crimes and genocide in Gaza as he chaired an extraordinary summit of the BRICS group of nations on Tuesday. Pretoria is hosting a virtual meeting of BRICS, a group of major emerging economies that includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, aimed at drawing up a common response to the Israel-Hamas conflict. Fighting has raged in Gaza after Hamas gunmen killed around 1,200 people, mostly civilians, during cross-border raids on October 7, the deadliest attack in Israel's history. In retaliation, Israel launched a relentless bombing campaign and ground offensive in Gaza, which is ruled by Hamas. According to Hamas, the war has killed more than 13,300 people, thousands of them children. Ramaphosa called for an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire and the deployment of a United Nations force to monitor the cessation of hostilities and protect civilians.
The collective punishment of Palestinian civilians through the unlawful use of force by Israel is a war crime. The deliberate denial of medicine, fuel, food, and water to the residents of Gaza is tantamount to genocide.
We'll now join Adeni Ajishafe for Sports Update.
In a bid to inspire youth in sport, Federal Ministry of Sport Development has stated its resolve to focus on grassroots development in all sports by ensuring grooming of young talent are integrated into the shoes of retiring or aging athletes. Minister of Sport Development John Owa Eno said this at the finals of 7th edition of Abuja Veterans Football Tournament at Government Day Secondary School football pitch in Karu. Police Legends beat Community All-Stars 5-3 to make final, while defending champions selected All-Stars of Aleta edge Karu All-Stars 8-7 on penalties to book a chance of defending the title. Taiwo Ibrahim converted the winning penalty as selected All-Stars of Aleta retained the trophy with a 4-3 penalty shootout victory over Police Legends in the final. Sports Minister praised organizers for coming up with such an event to give awareness towards development of sport by ex-internationals to inspire upcoming talent.
Our focus on this administration our priority is on grassroots development. So without grassroots, we would not get winners. These veterans, as we can see them now, they are veterans. Now there must be some people to fill their vacant where they left. So we are trying to nurture them and grow them also, that will get them to represent the country in future.
Ex-player and sponsor of Abuja Veteran Tournament, Ekene Oyejiaka, said football brings unity among Nigerians, hence the need to organize such a tournament to bring together retired footballers.
As I've once played a football and I know the reason, the meaning of football. It unites us, it brings us together. And it makes you, there's no differences. When we're playing football, that was when Nigeria unite mostly. So we'll have our differences, but when it is in the game of football, we unite.
Secretary of the winning team, Yekale Jacob, expresses joy for his team defending the trophy against all odds.
It's a pleasure because the journey was rough and tight, but we thank God we won the trophy.
Community All-Stars won third place match beating Karu All-Stars 2-0 by Lawrence Vincent and Jamil Hamza, while medals and awards were presented to outstanding players and teams. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
You have been informed about the emerging stories within Nigeria and beyond. And with that, we've come to the end of the news hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thanks for your time.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.